verdict has been pronounced a short while back on that. This is, of course, basis a habeas corpus petition that the High Court was hearing. And that was, of course, filed by the relatives of the juvenile accused. What we do know so far that the Bombay High Court has, in fact, allowed the release of the juvenile accused on bail. Remember, this teenager had, in fact, been accused of killing two youth in Pune last month, following which there was a bit of an outrage, also a national outrage rather, because of the fact that bail had been granted to the teenager the very next day, and also the bail conditions had also been highlighted, which according to many was found to be bizarre. But for the moment on this breaking, let me go across to my colleague Radhika. Radhika, what are the details we have from the court?
That's right. This is a very important development as far as Pune Porsche case is concerned. The Bombay High Court has ordered the release of juvenile accused from the observation home. In fact, the juvenile's aunt had filed a habeas corpus petition saying that this remand of juvenile was arbitrary and illegal, post which, of course, Bombay High Court did hear the matter. It is based on several technical aspects that the Bombay High Court has, in fact, decided to go ahead with this order, saying that this minor accused should be released. In fact, the High Court in the last hearing had questioned the way in which he was remanded to observation home, the fact that he was initially granted bail by the Juvenile Justice Board, but within 2 days this was reviewed. What were the powers, what were the powers as far as Juvenile Justice Board is concerned in order to amend and reviewing of this bail order is concerned is something that the court had pointed out, and the defense also, in fact, the lawyer for the accused had also, for the accused aunt had also pointed that JJB does not have the power to review or amend bail and send this minor back to, or send this minor to observation home. So
right.
Therefore, based
Radhika,
on these technical aspects, now the court has come out with this order. And
right. Radhika, if you can just take us through the key operative portions of the arguments which were made in court, specifically from the side of the defense team, of course, but also very important observations coming in from the court, which had actually said that the incident had affected the juvenile as well.
Yes, the argument is what I was pointing at some time back. In fact, the petitioner's lawyer had pointed out that Juvenile Justice Board did not have the power to remand this child to custody. In fact, a bail order was already in place, in effect. So therefore, the court, or rather the JJB, cannot go back on it and review its order as far as the bail is concerned and send this boy to observation home. So this is what was said by the defense, which is something that the court had agreed upon. Court did, ask about the powers of JJB, with respect to once it gives the bail order, how is it that this boy was sent to observation home, and also the defense had pointed out that the petitioners, or rather the in this case, of course, the prosecution should have, in fact, approached a higher court to cancel the bail, and then perhaps should have gone ahead, to the JJB, and JJB could have given out that order. So therefore, the process of sending this boy to remand home was something that was questioned by the defense, and also something agreed upon by the court. The court also, speaking about the mental health, during the course of arguments, the court, the Bombay High Court Division Bench did raise concern of this boy's mental health as well, saying that even as the relatives of the deceased are going through issues and are in a bad state of mind, it is also factual, or rather it is evident that even the boy who is remanded to custody is also going through mental health issues. So therefore, court coming down strongly, as far as the cops and the JJB's actions are concerned, but was in support of this minor victim in terms of the processes that were followed, which is why now the court, going ahead and releasing, deciding to release the, giving the orders to release this child. In fact, now remains to be seen, how this will sort of play out, because we will be getting, reactions on this, because of course this had created a lot of outrage. We know for a fact that JJB had initially given bail, a post which of course it decided to keep him in observation home. There was no cancellation of bail that happened. So due to these technical aspects, at this point, of course, the Bombay High Court saying that the minor should be released.
Right. Radhika, just to bring more perspective into this entire incident, we had seen just yesterday, I believe, Maharashtra Chief Minister Eknath Shinde met the family of the victims, the two techies who were killed in this incident. Even earlier, when the father of the juvenile accused had been granted bail, at that time as well, the families of the victims had said that, especially when it came to the juvenile, that his actions should be looked at, not his age. So there has, of course, also in addition to that, we've seen the kind of national outrage that had been in this particular incident, specifically to the bail conditions basis which the juvenile had been granted release the first time round. So there has, of course, been a lot of push, especially from the victim side of family side, of course, seeking justice, saying that the accused in this case should be judged basis the actions and not so much the age. And at that time as well, we had heard the Pune police saying that they are going to push a petition in front of the court to try the accused as an adult.
Certainly, there had been a lot of push and efforts taken by the Pune police also to ensure that this child is not released, which is why post the order by JJB, the police did approach JJB once again. However, it did not approach with the cancellation of the bail order. Of course, it approached with the reviewing of bail order, which apparently JJB did not have the authority to do. However, a Juvenile Justice Board, as a result of the outrage and the peculiarity of this case, decided to send this child to observation home. He had been kept in the observation home for a long time now. The Pune case also had filed a petition before JJB as to why this child should be tried as an adult. It had given a long report, based on witness statements, based on what the amount of alcohol he had consumed the night of the accident, and several other detailed aspects of this juvenile accused and his activities on the day of the incident as well. Of course, that is something that is pending. JJB is yet to look at whether he can be tried as an adult. But in the meantime, child's aunt, in fact, approaching Bombay High Court with a habeas corpus plea, saying that his detention or him being sent on remand to observation home is illegal and arbitrary, something that the court has agreed on as far as JJB's powers are concerned, which is why the court has agreed to release this boy from the remand home. In fact, his remand also stands cancelled. Remember, his bail was, he was granted bail and then he was asked to write a 300-word essay. There was outrage over it, and then Juvenile Justice Board reviewing that bail order and sending the boy to the observation home, which the court feels is procedurally wrong.
Right, Radhika, this is a very significant case, and we have seen a number of other cases which have also spiraled out of it. The juvenile's parents specifically had been, one of them had been booked in terms in the kidnapping case on charges of kidnapping the driver and intimidating the driver, asking the driver to actually take blame for this entire incident, for this accident. Secondly, the mother had been arrested for tampering with evidence. So there are a number of other cases which had in fact sprung out of this main incident, showing the larger conspiracy, the larger nexus, and how the entire family in a way allegedly tried to game the system in order to protect the teen. Just remind our viewers of all these other cases also which have been going on centering on this family.
Yes, that's right. Multiple FIRs registered in connection to the accident case. One, as you pointed out, on charges of abducting, trying to abduct this driver, threatening him to take
Radhika, stay with us. I'm really sorry to interrupt you there, but we're getting a reaction on this story. Let's listen in.
And talking about the release order, will he be entered over to the paternal aunt? Or?
So the paternal aunt is the petitioner. So his custody has to be released to the custody of the petitioner.
पुणे अपघात प्रकरणातील अल्पवयीन आरोपीचे वकील प्रशांत पाटील आपल्यासोबत आहेत. तुम्ही त्याची याचिका केलेली होती हायकोर्टाने काय नेमकं?
So if you look at the Juvenile Justice Act, the entire scheme of the act is very clear. Section 12 is the backbone of the act. Section 12 says if any juvenile, any child in conflict in law has been alleged with any bailable or non-bailable offence, the Code of Criminal Procedure Code does not apply to that particular child in conflict in law. Under that particular background of Section 12, we moved a writ of habeas corpus. A habeas corpus was moved through the paternal aunt of the child in conflict in law. The matter was argued at length last week. Honorable High Court today directed the immediate release of the child in conflict in law based on the legislative directions of Section 12.
And talking about the release order, will he be handed over to the paternal aunt or?
So the paternal aunt is the petitioner. So his custody has to be released to the custody of the petitioner.
पुणे अपघात प्रकरणातील अल्पवयीन आरोपीचे वकील प्रशांत पाटील आपल्यासोबत आहेत. तुम्ही त्याची याचिका केलेली होती.
Right, that was the lawyer, of course, explaining the procedures which took place in the court. Radhika, my colleague, still with me. Radhika, yes, as you were mentioning, that there are a bundle of cases which have sprung from this particular hit and run case, in which the family members of this juvenile accused have also been implicated. They have in fact been arrested. The father of the juvenile recently granted bail as well. Take us through this entire gamut of cases and allegations which are centered around this one family in Pune.
That's right. Multiple cases centered around this particular accident case. In fact, there was an FIR registered on complaints of the driver in which he said that he was being threatened to own this case, and therefore he was also abducted by the family members, for which the father was arrested. And later there were a swapping of blood samples allegation as well, in which not just the family members but also the doctors of that particular hospital in Pune were also arrested, along with several other medical staff members. Also, it was a big charge that was made in which, in order to show that this boy was not drunk, they swapped the blood samples with the boy's mother's blood. So serious allegation there, serious charges there. So multiple FIRs being registered. Despite that, Bombay High Court going ahead and ordering the release of the boy because of certain procedural, certain procedures that were not followed by Juvenile Justice Board, or for that matter, even the cops. In fact, the court saying we are bound by law and must treat him as any child in conflict with law, despite seriousness of the crime. So court here pointing at his age. This is something that had happened during the course of the arguments as well. Court had time and again mentioned that he is a juvenile in conflict with the law. So therefore, he would also be going through certain mental health issues while he's in remand, and also, at the same time questioning JJB's power for remand as well after granting him bail. So technical aspects, as well as the fact that he is, at the end of the day, technically underaged, or rather a minor, is something that the court has considered while giving out this order. Habeas corpus petition moved by aunt of this boy, which is now been accepted, and the court now asking this minor accused to be released.
Right. As you're mentioning, Radhika, that it is a technicality basis which the court has primarily looked at that aspect, and that was the main plea, the main prayer in the petition from the family side as well, that technically maybe procedures were not followed completely when it came to taking this, putting the juvenile in the observation home in this particular case is concerned. But, you've been tracking this case, of course. In terms of the police, the Pune police's initial efforts to try to actually place a petition in front of the court to seeking to try this accused as an adult. What has come of it? Because at one point of time, of course, the court said that we will follow the course, and after there was in fact a lot of outrage about the initial bail conditions, the juvenile was once again sent to an observation home. But is the Pune police trying, is there strategy in any way to push for this petition once again to try the juvenile as an adult?
That's right. That petition is pending before JJB. In fact, the court, I beg your pardon, the Pune police had filed this report before JJB as to why he should be tried as an adult. It had, all the details as far as eyewitness account, witness account, and, his location at the time of the incident, how drunk he was, the fact that he was behind the wheels in an inebriated state with substantial evidence had been submitted before the JJB, Juvenile Justice Board. That had to be considered. Of course, it is still in process, but in the meantime, of course, this is a huge setback for Pune police,
right.
Which in fact had been making multiple arrests in connection with the case.
Radhika, stay with us. I'm also joined over the phone line by Mr. Majid Memon, senior advocate. Mr. Memon, according to your experience also, the fact that this juvenile accused has now been granted bail in terms of a technicality, is this in such incidents, do we generally see an accused of this age actually spending so much time in observation homes? And as their habeas corpus petition actually mentioned, that proper procedures were not followed, which has consequently now led to his bail being granted, release order on bail being granted by the High Court, which was hearing the petition.
Well, let me make a slight correction into your approach. Your reporter was heard just now saying that it's a major setback for the police, Pune police, etc. I don't subscribe to this kind of a thinking that the police will get a setback for this. Remember one thing, that a minor is governed by a separate set of law that is Juvenile Justice Act. And grant of bail, second point is that the grant of bail by itself is no certificate of innocence. Bail is to follow either today or tomorrow in cases like this. If you keep a person in detention for a longer time for the purpose of investigation or any other purpose, then one can understand. But you remember that even if a person is granted bail soon after the crime, he can still be convicted and punished and sentenced. While on the other side, if an accused is not granted bail for a fairly long time, he can still be found not guilty and may be finally let off. So therefore, grant or refusal of bail is no yardstick for the purposes of gravity of the crime. You see, bail is a rule. Bail has to be granted, if not today, tomorrow. And I don't think police have suffered any setback if this minor is granted bail, because minor is entitled to bail even otherwise.
Point taken, Mr. Memon. According to you, how, in your legal experience, have you seen any incidents or any number of incidents in which if the police seeks to try a juvenile accused as an adult, in terms of the frequency of it, how many times do courts or the juvenile boards generally accede to that request?
See, juvenile court has absolutely no option but to follow letter of law. No juvenile who may have committed even a serious crime of murder is to be governed by the statutory law that he cannot be kept in confinement or in prison only because he has committed allegedly certain serious crime. He is to be governed by the law laid under Juvenile Justice Act as far as the provisions of bail are concerned. But even otherwise, let us see if it is not a case of juvenile. Even for a major adult, the offense of this kind of rashness, negligence and rashness in driving, killing one person or multiple persons. We have come across in the city of Mumbai, brats taking all sophisticated vehicles at odd hours of 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. after party, dead drunk, and then rashly driving and killing people have also been enlarged on bail. They can't be punished by a refusal of bail. So grant of bail is no certificate of commission of offence or innocence.
Right, Majid Memon there, senior advocate. Thank you so much. Appreciate you joining us on the broadcast.